building a great real estate team. In this video, you're going to discover how to find, locate, attract, work with great players for your real estate investing team. Hi, I'm Phil Pustiofsky with FreedomMentor.com. I'm a full-time real estate investor, real estate mentor and coach to many of the most successful investors all across North America. My book, How to Be a Real Estate Investor, is a bestseller, and year after year, people tell me is the best real estate investing book they've ever read. And thanks to many of you, this YouTube channel is the most watched, most popular in real estate investing history, with approaching 6 million total views, so thank you. In this video, I want to share with you some important details related to building a real estate team. Now, why is that important? It's because real estate is a team sport. There are many different players required for you to get a deal to closing, whether that be real estate agents in some cases, mortgage brokers in some cases, attorneys, contractors in some cases. There's all kinds of different people. And in a lot of ways, a real estate investor plays the role of the coach, the go-between that brings all these parties together and gets them doing the work they're supposed to be doing. Now, a key point right out of the gates is this. Too often, beginners and intermediate experienced people alike work with lousy people. And I'll go into why that is in just a moment. But that's so destructive. When you work with lousy players, your team is going to suck. Plain and simple. So, this is my theory on how many great players are out there versus how many are mediocre or flat out lousy. So if we look at this like a pie chart, okay, we're going to do this is our little sliver of, say, 10%. To me, you got about 10% of the people in this industry are A players. And then the other 90% are mediocre at best, and at worst, they're just awful. Now, there's a couple of reasons why this is the case. Again, going back to my theory here. Okay, sorry, this is your 90%. This is your 90% of mediocrity. So many people that get into real estate either don't get the right education, don't go in there for the right reasons, and get into this industry, whether it be as an agent, as a mortgage broker, as an attorney, as a closing agent, as a contractor. They get into this industry, but they soon get disillusioned. They don't like it. They're kind of miserable. They go through the motions every day. They're not making much money. They're not happy. And they stay in it, and they stay in this world of mediocrity. But then you've got that 10% that they figure out exactly what formulas are required to be successful in their specific space, as an appraiser, as an inspector, what have you. And then they master it. They make good money. They enjoy serving and helping others. They get into the flow of this industry and this business, and they do quite well. And these are the people you want to align yourself with. Too often, though, what people are doing is they align themselves with this crowd. Why? Because they're easy to find. It's the 90%, and in some cases, it's a friend, it's a family member, it's an associate, it's someone from church, it's someone from a social club you're in. And so you meet them, and then now you want to work with them, but they're lousy. And then now you have a friend, and so now you feel terrible about having to tell them, hey, look, I don't want to work with you anymore in the capacity you've been working with me, whether it be a contractor, attorney, whatnot. And it's a difficult conversation. People avoid difficult conversations. People avoid confrontation. So if you're already in this business, and maybe I'm speaking to you right now, and there's someone that you work with consistently on your deals, and you know they're lousy, you need to make an executive decision. Maybe you don't have to tell them to their face, but go out, find somebody better, and start moving that business to somebody better. Because if you work with lousy people, I'm telling you, you're going to have a lousy business. Now, lousiness, we're going to talk about the difference between the two and how you find these people here momentarily. So to be clear, though, you've got to know who's lousy, because you might have the right person. I'm going to tell you a great book. You may have already heard me recommend this. It's called Good to Great by Jim Collins. In this book, he talks about the idea that there are great people for your team, and then there are lousy people, or he calls them good people. Good is different than great. And he acts like sometimes you have the right person on your team, they're just in the wrong spot. Meaning they're on the right bus, but they're in the wrong seat on the bus. versus the people that just need to get off of your bus. And if you're already in this business, it's very liberating to move those people off your bus as nicely and as respectfully as possible and get the right people on there. But what if you're brand new? You don't even have a bus. Bus? What are you talking about, Phil? You don't have other people you're working with already. Well, you have a difficult challenge in that you're going to have to attract these people and you're brand new. And so these people don't typically work with those that have nothing going on. So that's kind of the catch-22 of this, right? So my recommendation, if you're brand new, definitely grab my book, grab my free course, which you can get on my website, freedommentor.com. It's about 12 hours of just the most incredibly helpful information, videos, trainings on exactly what you need to know to attract A players, because you'll know what you're doing in this business, and they'll know you know what you're doing, and they'll want to work with you. And so please, please, please hear this. If you hear nothing else on this video, work with the great players and have the discipline to not work with this group, okay? Now, another little tidbit. If you do lousy deals, you're going to attract mediocrity. A players don't work on lousy deals that have no money and no profit margin in them because they know they won't get paid. And they're A players because they know how to separate the wheat from the chaff. And so what they're able to do is say, well, this deal sucks, I don't want to be a part of it. Let's say you're trying to beat down a contractor on price because you paid too much and it needs too much work, and no self-respecting contractor that knows anything about the business would ever bid it that low where you need them to be at in order to get the work done. Well, there's a perfect example. So you've got to work on good deals as well. Again, I go back to my my trainings. Okay, so let's talk about how you find these people. So I think you're sold on the idea that you need to work with A players. Now let's talk about how you find them. All right, this is not rocket science. Okay, we're not going to be launching these space shuttles here. All right, so what I want you to think about is, what are you looking for? So you have to identify, you have to define what it is you're looking for. So I'm going to give you a great example. When I generate my leads, I am a licensed real estate agent, and my assistant, I paid to get her licensed. However, we don't practice the traditional real estate agent business of listing a property or representing a buyer. However, I refer these leads to other agents. So when I talk to a seller who is not motivated, I don't throw the lead in the trash. Absolutely not. I monetize that lead. I monetize it by referring it to a real estate agent. Do I refer it to any old lousy real estate agent? As you probably know, that would be absolutely not. I'm going to refer that lead to an A player real estate agent. How do I discover who, in this, okay, I'm going to give the example of agent here. How do I find a great agent? Well, it turns out that there are publications that actually quantify volume in sales of agents. And I look for the top producing agent in any one little marketplace, and that's who I'm going to refer the lead to. I want to work with the top producer. Where do I find that? Well, it turns out there's a site called realtrends.com, and they publish lists based on any market area who the top dogs are. So just work with them as it relates to referring a lead. Okay, so I'm being specific. You identify, there's supposed to be an N in there. There you go. You can be very, very wealthy in life and not know how to spell. When you are looking for a top producing agent, go to a place that already lists who the top producing agents are. Now, it's not just Real Trends that does this. A lot of business journals in major metropolitan areas have, quote, books of lists. So I'm going to say Biz Journal books of lists. You can even probably Google this. This idea of who the top dogs are. So if it's an agent you're looking for who's a top dog, you can find those people. Now that's for a top producing listing agent. And so in the example of me having a lead that I want to refer as a listing lead, that's who I want it to go to. And you think about that too. When I talk to that seller and I say, you know what, I'm not a great fit for you. I'm a real estate investor. I need to buy this property with some level of profitability. You want full price. You have all the time in the world to sell. You You own the home free and clear. You need to work with a real estate agent who's going to give you the number one, top price you could possibly get. And they're going to go, well, yeah, but I don't really like agents. They're lazy. I'm going to say, well, 99% of them in your mind might be lazy, but I know the 1%. I know the one, at least one person that is absolutely number one in your area year after year. They're a rock star. They sell fast, sell top price. Would you like their information or probably not? And they're like, well, yeah, I want to know who this person is. Boom. Right? So that's an example of an agent. So let's give another example. Let's say mortgage broker. Mortgage broker. Well, mortgage brokers, you definitely have different types. You have the ones that represent a specific bank or a specific lender, and then you have those that represent several different lenders. And so if you want to find out more about these groups, there are other publications, such as Scott, I have it written down here, hold on, Scott's Guide. ScottsGuide.com. That's what I go to. I have this bookmarked. So you can look up who the top producing by volume are. They also have publications as well, like Mortgage Professionals of America magazine. That's another example. Like the mortgage broker I work with, he's one of the top 50 in the entire country. He's located in Florida. So you work with the best. Now, why would I work with the best mortgage broker? I want to be able to refer clients, especially on my own listings. When I list a property, I tend to put in the comments that they must pre-qualify with seller's preferred lender. They don't have to use my lender, but they have to pre-qualify with them. And I send them to my mortgage broker for a couple of reasons. Number one, he'll tell me the true story on whether or not they can get a loan, because that makes a huge difference if I'm going to tie a property up or not. But number two, I love it when I can send them to a mortgage broker that can beat their mortgage broker every time. I know my guy can beat him. He is the best. He does it by volume. He has very, very cheap numbers. So when you work with great people, if you're noticing, it makes you look better, because you are bringing these people that know nothing about the business, whether it's a seller or a buyer, and they're coming into your camp all of a sudden, and you're referring them out to absolute A players. Does that make sense? Okay, we move on. There's plenty of more team players here. Moving as quickly as I can. What about attorneys? Attorneys. You ever heard of Martindale-Hubbell? Martindale-Hubbell. Martindale.com. Martindale-Hubbell. I'll put Hubble at the bottom there, but it's Martindale.com. This is a peer review system where fellow attorneys rate themselves. And so if you want to know if you have an attorney that knows what they're doing and they have a great reputation in the community, go to Martindale-Hubbell. Now, there are different kinds of attorneys for this business. You have closing attorneys, you have eviction attorneys, you have just specific real estate attorneys that may not be closing attorneys. So you have different attorneys that handle different roles. And they may not all be on Martindale-Hubbell, because some could be pretty specific. But the concept is you can do research on publications and whatnot to find out who the top dogs are. Align yourself with those. Now, you might be saying, well, Phil, top dog attorneys are expensive. You're right, they are. This goes back to doing great deals with lots of money, so you have the money to pay these people. So if you're doing a rental property and it's really, really, really thin margins, you don't have the money to pay a good eviction attorney to get those tenants out of there fast. Does that make sense? You got to work with good people. Let me give you another example. Is contractors. Contractors. This one's a little bit easier for most people. Hopefully you can see this. An example of how to find these people would be Angie's List. Or maybe there's, maybe in your area they use Yelp or something. Use one of those services where other people rate them. I have friends who are contractors, and anytime they get a call and they say, I found you on Angie's List, they act so much better. They do. They're like, about face? I mean, they are very attentive when you say you call from Angie's List. And you look to see who else has worked with these people. Now, I know what you're going to say. The people on Angie's List, they've got they've got all the different important licenses, and they're bonded, and they're insured. They're going to cost more. You're right. They are going to cost more. But they're going to do a better job, and you're going to be able to run your business better because you're working with better people. Does that make sense? Work with the best. It'll make all the difference. If you're trying to skimp and you work with the lousy people, and whether it's these or anything else, what's going to end up happening is you're going to have to do the roles for them in many cases. And that's going to not free you up, but that's going to tie you down, and it's not going to build freedom. And I'm big on freedom, y'all. Okay, so I did it in this kind of design because this is you in the middle. This is you right here. You're like the coach. And you're trying to bring all these people together and trying to get them to do a lot of the work for you, right? Because this guy gets paid when the deal closes. This person oftentimes gets paid when the deal closes. This person gets paid not only when the deal closes, but when the work is completed. These people tend to get paid when the deal closes or when the eviction occurs. So you have all these different people that are getting paid. Pay the best. Pay them a little bit more. It makes all the difference in the world. Okay, so we've talked about how to find some of these people, and I hope I've given you just this concept of once you identify what you're looking for, look for certain outside parties that can give you, whether it's a publication like Mortgage Professionals of America, whether it's a peer review website, whether it's a consumer website like Angie's List, whether it's a business journal. Use that to help locate these people who are the top dogs, and that's how you get this ball rolling. But you know what? Not everybody is going to be on one of these lists, are they? That's okay. You start with, even if you can get one, they can tell you who the other players are. Because, you know the old phrase, friends of a feather flock together. So when you're working with at least one home run great person, the rest of the people they can let you know who they recommend. And you'd be surprised how often the people they recommend are awesome, top-notch people as well. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm gonna end with this. And I've already kind of mentioned this a few times in a roundabout way, and it's the idea of, how do you attract or work with great people? And my answer is going to be that you need to be great yourself. You need to be great yourself. So I've done some projects with a good friend of mine. He won a national championship playing football for Joe Paterno in Penn State. Has the big national championship ring. He was also an All-American in college. He went on to the NFL, and he played for the Redskins, and he won a Super Bowl or 2 Super Bowls with the Redskins. He's a Pro Bowler, and he played underneath Joe Gibbs. This guy worked, I call it work, he played football underneath 2 of the greater coaches in football history, United States football history, and that was Joe Paterno and Joe Gibbs. And so he got a chance to work with the best. He played around the best. And so now, when he does projects, he only works with the best. And oftentimes, I feel like part of the reason is because he thinks of himself as a Super Bowl champion. And a Super Bowl champion is not going to work with the scout team. They're going to work with the best people. And so when we work together, we have our different roles. And, and I will be associated with other people on that team and other things that we're doing. And it's amazing how often the other people he brings to the table are also just absolute rock stars. And we all are elevated by the fact that we're all surrounded by great people. So this means if you want to build a great real estate team, ultimately you have to be a great person. That doesn't mean you have massive accolades at this point. Doesn't mean that you've written best-selling books and all that. No. What it means is you're a great communicator. So you communicate very well. So whether it's by email or by phone, it's efficient, it's clear. You are communicating what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. You are incredibly honest. Integrity. You do what you say you're going to do, so you're consistent. When you have, and there's probably many more that are just not coming to mind, but you get the idea. If you want to surround yourself with great people, you be a great person as well, and be great at your niche. Okay, so as a real estate investor, you should be great at finding great deals, negotiating great deals, structuring the great deals so that you can make a lot of money, and doing it in such a way where everybody wins. So you focus on that, then you find these other players to do what they need to do, whether it be an attorney that needs to make sure the eviction is done efficiently, whether it is a real estate agent who, when you refer a lead to them, they can always turn into a listing and that listing gets sold, whether it's a mortgage broker who can get people loans at the lowest rates and they actually close so they have a good handle on how the underwriting process works, and everything in between. And I think the best way to do that is to look to those things that are already out there that quantify who is the best in each field. All right, well, I'm Phil Pustiovsky with FreedomMentor.com. I hope you enjoyed this video. I got a little intense, a little excited. It's because I know how powerful it can be when you surround yourself with great people. It makes you look better, it makes your business close better and do better, and you help more people, and more benefits come along. It's just a positive feedback loop all around. All right, so if you want to learn more about me, head over to my website, FreedomMentor.com. You can also watch more of these videos. I'm often told that these videos here are more educational than they've ever seen anywhere else out there. Even seminars they've gone to, even things that they've paid for, they've not gotten as good information as they do here on these videos that I give away for free. And also check out my book, How to Be a Real Estate Investor. It's a game changer for many people that are getting into the business. Check out my free course on creative real estate investing and flipping houses. And I will see you on the next video.